Welcome back. Cinema Scrutiny episode 14. I'm your host, Billy, here always with my co host, John.
How you doing, everybody?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a long week, but there's a lot of news lined up for us this week, which is really nice.
Yeah, we had to cut some topics almost. I feel like it
Yeah,
was, a race to get a hopefully hour-long podcast for you guys.
I'll definitely. I think we actually may be going overtime today, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You
Hmm.
never know.
Yeah, I feel you.
Um, but I guess that being said, we should probably just jump right into it because we gotta conserve our time.
Yeah, sure. Let's give it a shot.
So our first story this week is backpedaling off of the Mad Max spin-off Furiosa, which has been in talks for years. People have been like clamoring for this movie forever because Furiosa was like a huge character in Fury Road. If you haven't seen Fury Road, go see it. It's really good.
Hmm.
Um, so we're finally getting news on the Furiosa spin-off. George Miller is directing, co-writing, and producing as he does. But we got official casting for like the leads of the movie. So we have Anna Taylor Joy is going to be playing Furiosa. Chris Hemsworth and Yaha Abdul Mateen II are also cast in unknown roles.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess just to preface, Anna Taylor. Uh, what is the movie she was in that they listed here? Oh, The Witch and New Mutants. She was in that as well. So she's
Hmm.
pretty. She's like a younger actress.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously we know who Chris Hemsworth is. If you don't know who Abdul Mateen, he was most notably in he was Doctor Manhattan in HBO's series The Watchmen.
Yeah. He was also the picture that is on the thing for him is he was Black Mantis in Aquaman.
Right, 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 right.
Or is that? Yeah, that's the guy's name, I think. Oh,
His
Black
name is
Manta, not Mantis.
yeah, Black Manta. But like, I apologize for botching names because I do
Mm.
that. Uh, but yeah, this is pretty cool news. The only thing like downer for me is like Charlie Theron isn't in it. She's not going to be reprising the role.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, George Miller said that it is a prequel, like almost like an origin story for Furiosa.
Hmm.
So I believe that's the reason they cast the younger actress because it is like 20 years before or 15 years before or whatever. I agree
Right.
with you that it does suck just because Charlize Theron is such a great actress and she should be in more stuff, but I think, and obviously I don't know if like, they're still in pre production or whatever, but if you asked me at this point if I wanted another one of these with Charlize Theron, another Mad Max spinoff with Charlize Theron, or if I wanted a sequel to I can't even remember the name of the movie, but it was good. That's embarrassing.
Fury Road.
No, 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 the one that she was in where she was immortal on Netflix.
Oh, fuck. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah, it's like the Ford like
yeah, it was really fucking good
people.
though,
They're
and
like
like
ice,
I would prefer actually seeing a sequel to that.
which
Uh,
she's working on currently, most likely.
yeah, oh, it's called The Old Guard.
The Old
There
Guard,
we go.
yes.
Like that to me, I mean,
Um,
not saying it's more interesting necessarily, but I'm way more into that at the moment, and maybe
right.
that's just because it came out more recently,
Yeah.
or I don't know. I mean, I like Mad Max a lot, like the universe,
Hmm.
but it is much more like just like hate and spite
Yeah.
and death.
It has been a while since Fury Road too, but
Yeah,
no, I know what you're saying. It's a totally different vibe, and
yeah.
like as cool as Furiosa sounds, like I don't know how much talking is going to be in the movie because
Hmm.
like these Mad Max films are notorious for like not too much talking,
Yeah.
but um, I don't know. I think this would be cool. I think we'll probably see her like lose her arm because you know how she's got that like robotic arm or
Yeah,
like
that's true.
arm. So that I'm sure that'll probably happen. I'm interested. You know what? I'm interested to see if Chris Hemsworth plays a villain. That could be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like not that Doctor Manhattan's a villain, but obviously Manta is a villain in
Hmm.
Aquaman. So it's like, is Mateen gonna be like villain material again, or is he gonna, or are they all good guys? Like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like the bad guy in Mad Max and Fury Road was like not a big name actor. It was like tons of prosthetic. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like it didn't
definitely.
necessarily matter.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Also, just to be honest, even just having three, I don't want to say they're all main characters, right? Because that's not confirmed. But like,
Mhm.
since they're all very high budget actors, like three talking characters. Because if we're being honest, in Fury Road, like outside of Max and Furiosa, that's about
Mhm.
it. No one really gets to say anything.
That's true.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see what direction it takes as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. And I've also been waiting for this movie, like on the low key, not like claiming for it, but
Yeah,
it's an interesting storyline to pick up. So
yeah, I agree.
I think it'll be fun, and I'm sure George Miller will do something crazy, and I really do like his visual stuff. So
Mm.
that's always fun to see. But I guess moving on to our next topic,
Yeah, no, I think
because
it's a good place to move on.
we have okay, so we're going on to Don't Look Up, which
Mm.
is the sorry, I'm looking for my article here in front of me.
Go for it.
It's Adam McKay's new film. And it's on Netflix. But if you don't know who Adam McKay is, or if you don't recognize the name, he worked on the Anchorman series, Step Brothers, um, The Other Guys,
Great
uh,
film.
Big Short,
Great film.
a lot of comedy stuff, but also Academy acclaim stuff.
Mm.
Um, he's very talented. He's got a lot going for him. Um, but the reason I know, like, this isn't like a huge story, but I kind of threw it into the mix this week because I think the cast is ridiculous. It's like Dune levels huge. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna read this cast off. We have Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Rob Morgan, Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, Jonah Hill, Himesh Patel, Timothy Chalamet, Ariana Grande, Kid Cudi, Matthew Perry, Tom Sisley. Like, huh? Like, that's
Yeah.
fucking nuts. And this is also Leonardo DiCaprio's first like streaming movie, like his first streaming service movie. He's
Mm-hmm.
like turned down a bunch of them. He's working on one with Scorsese right now for Apple, but that's not coming out for like not. I don't think it's coming out till like after this comes out. But
Yeah, for a while, I would think.
yeah, I don't know. But the movie, like all we really know is like it's about two astronomers who have to tell the world there's a meteor coming in like 6 months. So it could I don't know if it's a comedy or if it's a drama, but I think it'll definitely be more towards like a drama considering DiCaprio's in it. I feel like he wouldn't really do a comedy,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. What do you think of this cast, John? I mean, I
Yeah, I
think it's
mean,
pretty interesting.
I don't know. I feel like it probably is partly comedy.
I think there'll definitely be some comedy
I
elements.
mean, I don't know the book, which I think it is a book based on. Where did I see it? I think that Twitter account is like always talking about like book adaptations.
Hmm.
Cast. Fucking. Let me see if I can find anything. No, it doesn't say. So maybe I don't know. But also based on his work, I feel like it has to be like funny. Like if we're talking about Anchorman,
And
other guys,
Step
Step
Brothers,
Brothers,
other
yeah.
guys. Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
I don't know. I mean, I do like the cast a lot. I think that, in my personal opinion, Jennifer Lawrence is kind of boring.
Okay,
It's just a
that's
personal
fair.
thing. I thought she was. I can't even think of a movie where she doesn't play like the same character. I don't know. Passenger, like she's a good actor, or good actor. I just don't. Not fucking with it.
No, that's fair.
Let's see. Rob Morgan, love him as Turk in the fucking Marvel TV shows on Netflix.
Yep,
So he's
yep.
cool. Don't really give a fuck about Meryl Streep.
That's a legendary actress right there,
I
John.
just don't give a fuck. I
We're
mean,
talking
she,
about the most like Academy Award nominations ever.
yeah, well,
Meryl Streep.
she's fine. She's not putting me in a fucking seat.
That's fair.
Let's
That's
be honest.
that's.
Like Kate Blanchett, cool. Also not putting me in the seat. Jonah Hill could put me in a seat.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's just a personal vibe. Like I've been loving his latest shit. Himesh Patel, never heard of him. unfortunate. But hopefully he does well. Timothy, my boy, he could put me in a fucking seat. I'll be real.
He'll put
Uh,
me in a seat too.
yeah, Ariana Grande.
Oh,
I'm interested that there's musical talent in this, and I know obviously like Ariana Grande can definitely act. Like that is just a proven factor.
right,
But
right,
I
right.
wonder if they are going to do some random musical number nonsense.
Uh, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Might be. It could be some funny shit going on there.
yeah. And then Matt Perry puts me in a fucking seat because I just love Matt Perry. And then I don't
Matt
know this other
Perry
guy.
very literally put you in a seat. You went to the Friends like theatrical like show and like
Yeah,
release.
I did see. I think it was 4 episodes of Friends in theaters. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like Friends too. I like Matt Perry.
Yeah,
Good to see him in such a big thing that's coming. So
yeah. The last thing I saw him in personally was I was watching West Wing on Netflix, and he has a like a maybe like 3 or 4 episode like guest appearance,
yeah,
and he did really well. I think he either won. I know he definitely got nominated for an Emmy for it, like for like best guest actor in a in a drama or whatever the fuck.
right,
But I think he won because he did really well. It was really good. It was like probably right around when Friends was ending or like at the very peak of Friends.
right, right.
So he was just like knocking it out of the park.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean overall, I think it's an exciting cast. I don't know. Like I think that getting a big cast nowadays is not necessarily enough to get people interested. I know that it's cool. But like when we
right,
talk about Dune, like I'm hyped for Dune. Like the cast is crazy, right? But I'm more hyped that the
right.
cast is amazing because it is Dune, and I'm like they're gonna do it right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I have no idea what this is gonna be about. Like I think that the story sounds so generic, and it's just like
true.
it sounds like Deep Impact or like Armageddon or like any like 2012 type thing where it's like we gotta do something to stop the thing.
Right, right.
So like I don't know.
I think I think it's interesting. I overall, of course, like the cast is cool to see.
Mm,
And like you said, like we there's not much we could say about the story because it does seem generic on the surface level. Of
yeah.
course, we don't have a trailer, anything visual to look at, or any set photos. Nothing. We have nothing to visualize off of this. But I think overall, just about this news, like I think this big cast uh, idea or plan is kind of becoming sort of a trend.
Mhm.
Because we see it with Dune, but we also kind of saw it with Knives Out at the same time as well. I think they had like a big cast, and obviously that was a mystery movie, and that's kind of like a trope for mystery movies sometimes, where they
Yeah, it
throw like a
is.
massive cast in there. But I think
Well,
that's a cool trend to have. I mean, like personally, like if you just have DiCaprio here, like you got me. I'm
mm,
watching because I really enjoy his work. But when you stack your cast with some monster players, like I just think it's a fun concept. It really gets people excited.
yeah, I think
And I
going
think
off
it's
of
slowly becoming a trend just based off of like this news happening, with Dune's coming
mm,
and with Knives Out that just happened last year. I think it's interesting.
yeah, I think that Dune actually is the anomaly in the concept. Also, I
Hmm.
looked it up, and Don't Look Up is a comedy. It is branded as a
Gotcha.
straight up comedy, but I think that when you're talking about because the reason that like the amazing cast is a trope of the mystery murder film is because it literally doesn't there's no like production necessarily, you know what I mean? Like you're not paying for all these special effects or all these crazy locations. Usually a murder
Yes.
mystery is like one set and you're really just paying for dial like you're paying for the script and then you're paying for actors. Like those are the two things that make those movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Knives Out, like I mean you move around a lot in the town, but I would almost say like 80% of the entire film is just on that one mansion estate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
it is.
like and same thing with I just watched Murder Mystery yesterday with Adam Sandler, and like you can tell that like they just did most of it was on like the actors
Yeah.
because that it's just what a
Yeah.
murder mystery is. But yeah, I think it's the same with this. Like I think it's like gonna be a more like a smaller story if that makes sense.
Right.
And then because of that, you can have a lot more interaction because it's a lot more about like same with I just watched Boys in the Band on Netflix, and granted that is it is a play adapted to a film, so like it already is built to work on a small set.
Yeah.
But like you could just even watching that, it's like holy fuck, like that cast is stacked. It is about the cast being stacked, and
Hmm.
it's like just because that's where the money is.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. I think the reason I say Doom is an anomaly is because I think Dune is spending the money on the cast and the script and also the set. Like they're just
Yeah.
spending. I guarantee it is going to be violently expensive.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't need honestly. I think I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but we definitely talked about it. And this is just tangenting into Dune right now. But Dune is definitely like I would not have hired Denis Villeneuve ever after Blade Runner. Like I think Blade Runner was amazing,
Mm.
right? But if I'm a
Yeah.
studio and I'm like, how do we make money? Because that's really what it's about, right?
It is, yeah.
And then you look at him blowing Dune out of the water, or blowing Blade Runner out of the water, and it's like insane, but it is also the most expensive nonsense ever. I believe they
Yeah.
created the largest man-made pool just to shoot the final scene of that film. Like
Yeah.
they were just oozing money,
Yeah.
and then it didn't make any money. So like I would be like, holy fuck! But I guess fucking Warner Brothers is like, yeah, dude, like just take all the money.
Warner Brothers is kind of an anomaly studio. They have very much like a I don't want to say a mob mentality or like a it's very much like a family pack mentality. Like if you are under the tent,
Mm,
then you are welcome. And we're not going to turn you away unless you do like, if you just like do something super bad or like obviously like losing money is very bad, but like I think they're a very forgiving studio for the people that they work with closely.
yeah,
And I also think that like while Blade Runner, like you and I love Blade Runner,
yeah,
and
very
like
good.
it turned out great. It's a beautiful film. Um, Even though it didn't make its money back, I do think that I see that movie being like a cult classic in a lot of ways that the original Blade Runner was.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be like the
Um,
same thing.
because the original Blade Runner also didn't make its money back. I don't think, at least not in the theaters. Um,
Maybe I don't know. I know the
but
budget was a lot less.
yeah, but um, I don't know. I think that they respect certain things like that, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I like Denny Villeneuve. Well, we both do,
No,
but
I think he's great. I just think that it's like,
I understand what you're saying though. It's like, yeah, you dropped the ball, bud, and you made spend a shit ton of money and you didn't get it back. So
yeah. Well,
like,
I mean, it's like
yeah,
it's just so similar. It's just
yeah,
like it just echoes the same thing. Like you're taking, in that case, a sequel, but in this case, you're porting a movie or a book.
hmm
So I don't know. But anyway, back to this. I think it's really cool. I am hopeful, but I still have no idea what's going on. I looked it up while we were talking, and Kid Cudi does actually act.
yeah, he does.
He's had a
He's been
few
in a couple
roles.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing super big. It says he was like a guest on One Tree Hill.
yeah, yeah. I'm
So
sure him and Ariana Grande will probably have closer to minor roles, but
yeah,
regardless, I just think this is just cool little tidbit news, like
hmm,
interesting stuff. Can't really comment too much more other than until we get some more information and some visuals to look at. But I don't know. Good for Netflix. Good for Netflix. Scoring another uh, pretty big news piece, I guess, or like decently sized news piece.
yeah, I agree.
But I guess moving on to our next topic.
Hmm.
This is pretty interesting. Did you ever watch Static Shock as a kid, John? That old
Of course, bro. What do you think?
the animated show.
Yeah, bro.
Great show.
If you were a
Amazing.
child awake on Saturday, I don't know how you couldn't watch it.
Exactly. Great, fantastic show. Love it. So, for those of you that don't know, DC is producing a Static Shock movie right now, and it looks like Michael B. Jordan and his studio, Outlier Society, has just been signed to produce this Static Shock live action movie,
Hmm.
which I think is really cool. Michael B. Jordan, as we know, great actor.
Hmm.
He was great in Black Panther. He's awesome in the Creed series. If you haven't seen Creed,
Yeah.
um, and it looks like he's finally going to get his first producing gig here with his own studio. And this is kind of going to be, I guess, the test for Warner Brothers with Jordan's studio, this
Hmm.
Outlier Society studio. And if this succeeds, then they will be getting further projects. Um, but I guess one little other tidbit to note here is, uh, as we know, like when actors jump up to produce or direct or anything other than acting, there's a lot of I don't want to say doubt, but there is like concerns, I guess, like
Yeah.
can the actor pull this off? As we know, like was it? No, it wasn't Benedict Cumberbatch. It was Michael Fassbender. He produced like the Assassin's Creed movie, and he
Yeah.
starred in it, and it was like that like super dropped the ball. So it was like Fassbender, you know. But
Yeah, that was very tough.
yeah, it was just a tough thing to see, and like it kind of like reinforces that concern.
Hmm.
But Michael B. Jordan, I guess like a good note to see here is that he was an executive producer on the second Creed movie. So it kind of gives him a little bit of experience in the field of producing. So it's always nice to see.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is just to start like dipping your toes in while you're doing other jobs. Like
Definitely.
Jonathan Franks and LeVar Burton, they both have directed things, recently, right? But
Right.
they first started directing just by like on the set of Next Generation Star Trek. They would just do like one or two scenes. Like they were like,
Hmm.
hey, like I just want to start directing, and they were like, well, we're not going to give you a whole episode, but like
Hmm.
here, like just do this one scene that you're not in, or why don't you do like this or this, and then slowly they would get like, all right, like season 7, why don't you do
Hmm.
this whole episode? Or like going
Yep.
forward, like Deep Space Nine or Voyager, they gave him full episodes, and then all of a sudden, Jonathan Frakes does movies now. I believe LeVar Burton obviously did Reading Rainbow and a bunch of other stuff. But like, I
Hmm.
think that's what he's doing. It's like you're working on Creed. You're like the next one comes up. You're like, what if I did a little producing? And they're like, okay, like executive producing,
Right. Right.
which is
Right.
mostly just like give us your money.
Yeah.
And now I think he's like fully ready to dive into the production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think this is I'm sure Michael B. Jordan here got his little like dipped his toes in the water with the
Mm-hmm.
executive producing, and now he has his own studio, which I didn't even know about. This Outlier Society,
Yeah.
which I feel like is kind of the case with a lot of people or in Hollywood who like are starting their own studio. They end up in something big, and then their own studio gets a little shot, and it becomes like a little subsidiary of one of the big names out there. But
Yeah, I agree. It's just like another like a side hustle.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think this is a good pick, and I think there is still like that thought in the back of my head, like, is Michael B. Jordan going to be good at producing? I think
Mm-hmm.
that is still like somewhat there, but I do genuinely think he's a good pick for this. Um, Static Shock is a really cool character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Michael B. Jordan is like still fairly young, so I'm sure I'm almost positive he probably watched the animated show. And if they're pulling from the animated show, that would be sick.
Yeah, Michael B.
Uh,
Jordan is 33.
oh, okay. Well, I would have thought he's like 28, but
Well,
like
that honestly, that's what like I think the biggest question for everyone here is almost more, will he just straight up be Static Shock? Like you're already producing it,
right.
the casting director's like, "Who do we get?" And you're like, "You get me." And it,
I mean,
like Static
that'd be kind of
Shock.
cool. Though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I believe in the TV show he was like a high schooler, but
Yeah,
he can be any age if we're really just being honest. And if we're
yeah,
being super honest, my man Michael B. Jordan looking real good for 33. I genuinely believe that if you wanted to be like, yeah, he's 19, or like if you wanted to be like, oh, he's in college, nobody would bat an eye. They'd be like, yeah, that's believable.
no, no. I think the story, like,
He looks young.
um, he does. He looks great for his age, but I think, like you said, I think the story can adapt to whatever time period. I mean, like, I guess there's different like story beats you could hit with like a high schooler compared to a college kid or like a young adult after college. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might want to diversify that. I mean, if you put him in like a high school setting, then you're low key in a way you're kind of like narrowing yourself to like Peter Parker in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you already have another superhero who's that age, so why don't you try to go a little bit older and try to hit other different story beats or like character beats? Um,
Yeah, I
it's always
agree.
nice to see, and they definitely always think about that kind of stuff. So that's
Yeah.
definitely a possibility, and I would not be surprised at all if he got cast in this. Michael B.
Yeah,
Jordan.
I agree. I think that if I was DC, I don't know if I would try to compete in that like high school space or if I would just say I have Shazam and like he's young, you know what I mean? So I already got like the kid
Yeah,
on the team. So do I go for like a more adult Static Shock or like?
definitely.
So yeah, I don't know,
Do you
but very
think?
interesting to see.
See, I think they will do this, but do you think they're gonna give him the board that he like surfs around on?
If I remember correctly, doesn't he just surf on a trash can?
I mean, it looks like a trash can, but eventually it just turns into like a disc, doesn't it? It's like a
I thought that's the. I thought. Okay, now I'm trying to remember the show because the iconic thing to me is he takes like the lid off a trash can and he uses that as like his static surfboard thing.
yeah,
I don't know if he. I guess probably later he gets like a dedicated disc.
right, right.
I don't know. I would say probably not. I would say they probably just keep him with like the trash can lid
I mean, that's fine.
because he's
I mean,
probably
I don't.
like he's chasing someone. They start getting away. He's like, "Whoa, what am I gonna do?" And he like takes the trash can off something.
I just want to see him on the disc.
Yeah.
It's gonna be sick. I know some of the comic adaptations gave him like a hexagon kind of
Oh,
board
interesting.
thing, which was like it looked a little bit more futuristic. But I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
just see him with like some, just like the straight up like you said, like trash can disc thing. Like
Yeah.
look cool. It's a cool look. He's just a cool character all around.
Yeah, I agree.
I genuinely like it was one of those like superhero shows when you're a kid. Like this is like the coolest fucking dude. Like I don't know, but
No, he was super cool.
yeah,
And then he shows up again in Young Justice, and he's like totally he's a little different.
he's older, isn't he?
I think he's in high school.
Oh, okay.
There is there's one episode of I can't remember if it was Young Justice or something else where like they go very far into the future,
Mhm.
and Static Shock is like 80, but he's still like rocking the whole
Oh shit.
original outfit and shit.
Yeah,
Static Shock old. I'm gonna see if I can like find it. I don't know.
yeah.
But his dreads are like all the way down like to his I think like to his like pants. Like he's just like huge. Like it's just basically what he was doing, but like older.
He's just a lot older. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember where that was from. It was a good episode of whatever it was though. Fucking.
yeah,
I'm just thinking it's Young Justice because that's like the last thing that I've seen animated DC wise. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens with this. I agree. I think Michael B. Jordan's perfect for the starting. I'm
hmm
interested to see if it falls into the DC universe or if it just becomes its own thing or no no.
yeah. I think this will be really cool. I mean, there's a great amount of material to pull from,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they talked about this a little bit at Fandom that they were going to do something with this, but they didn't have any information at that time, so they kind
Yeah.
of left it like on the surface. But good to see. Um, Definitely going to be covering that as it happens. But I guess moving on to our next topic because we got a lot of the topics to cover.
Sure.
We have so it's pretty quick, but uh, it looks like China has is now like the world's biggest film box office market as of right now, and it's overtaken North America. Now, uh, this may not come as a shock to some people because obviously coronavirus is happening and everything's shut down. Um, but basically, China has already opened like 75% capacity for all their theaters. So they're just raking it in. They
Mm-hmm.
have like people are coming and going, uh, and also I think they have the virus a lot more under control over there. Um, so basically, now they are the world's leading box office ticket as of right now. But I don't know. I thought this was like this is news that came out this week, but I thought like when I read it, I was like, this is kind of obvious. Like, of course they are. Like
I
nobody
mean,
else is really like in that position right now. I feel like.
yeah, obviously like the world is very different in different locations trying to starting to open up a bit more.
Yeah.
But the thing for me that I found interesting and the reason that I put it in the podcast for today
hmm
was that they have just inched us out by it looks like 50 million as of right now. The gap's probably going to widen by a large berth going forward, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to ask what the biggest market on the planet is last year, I probably would have told you China. The fact that 300 million people in the US who are outnumbered 4 or 5 to 1 are
Mm-hmm.
taking in boatloads more money. Like before, it wasn't even close. Like we were pulling in billions and billions in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like to me, it just blows my mind that it took a global pandemic for 1.5 billion people to go spend more money than 300 million.
Yeah.
Like I think it just speaks a lot to the and like you could chalk it up to a bunch of things like the level of affluence in America versus China, or just how many people actually like care about film. But I think it really
And
speaks to
entertainment.
just the U.S. I guess culture. Like we just have such a big
Mhm.
culture around going to the movies and watching things that I think a lot of other places don't necessarily have. I just think that was really cool. It's just really interesting to think that we're going to the movies so often that we're just making hand over fist compared to even like a billion people.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty crazy. And it's been like that for, I don't want to say forever, but like a very long time. America loves its entertainment, you know? They
Mm-hmm.
really love their movies, their TV, their drama, celebrity. Like it's a very big like cultural thing, I guess, for us. Um, and of course, China's a little bit more like regulated than us as far as like their content that they will take and watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, you'll see like entire titles of movies getting changed, and like the posters are totally different,
Yeah.
um, just to fit like the government needs and what they want. But
Mm-hmm.
it is interesting. It is very interesting to see like such a larger population doesn't even crack the surface of where we normally hit. Um, and I don't even know if this is relevant, but I've said a lot of times that I think like as a United States, like I think our biggest export is entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We literally just constantly produce it and throw it to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that shows not only in all the things that we do produce, but the way that people in the United States react to it. Like we are fully behind it. There's so many people that will go to the movies every week. I mean, we used to be one of those people, when there was a time where we were going to the movies multiple times a week. Like, but
Mm, yeah, I
people do
agree.
that all in the U.S. Like that's a common thing for a lot of people. So it is interesting. It is interesting to see, and I guarantee you, once things go back to normal and theaters open, it'll be back to that. We'll be back on top as far as like the most you know more people showing up and more revenue coming in
Yeah, yeah,
around the world, which it's crazy to think about, but it is an interesting fact.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's pretty interesting news. Good for China getting out to the movies, carrying that box office.
yeah.
Um, I guess moving on to non-theater news, we have a little bit of streaming news here.
Mm-hmm.
We have Disney has kind of made a press release that they are prioritizing their streaming, um, and they're specifically prioritizing it for the quarter 1 of 2021. Um, and they basically brought together their heads of Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and their Star uh, service, which we talked about Star a little bit
Mm-hmm.
briefly, but they basically brought them all together. Bob Chapek, which is the CEO, hopefully I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
But he basically brought him in the room and said, "Hey guys, we gotta lock down on streaming. We're throwing streaming directly at the consumer right now, and I think in a lot of ways it is to drive up the stock price because if you can't get content out through the theaters, you got to get it out through streaming. So,
Yeah, which full
um,
disclosure, I do own some of that stock.
yeah, I
So,
do. I actually don't own Disney stock, but I should because
I mean, this
you
excites
know,
me as a
yeah,
shareholder.
yeah. It is really just a shareholder move in a lot of ways because it's going to get them excited and realistically, like I think the stock price went up when they talked about putting Mulan on on Disney Plus. I'm not entirely sure about that, but
Yeah,
it definitely
well,
affected.
right now Disney is like absolutely draining money because a majority of their, and this I think would surprise a lot of people, but a majority of their profits actually come from running the parks, like the theme parks.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 40 or 50% of all of their income comes from the parks, and then all their other money comes from other stuff. But
Yeah.
like you would think that Star Wars and Marvel would be like the things that are making them money. They are not,
Hmm.
but I mean, they are, but like it's not like the driver. You know what I mean?
They are a factor, and that is partially why you see them implementing, the Marvel Land or the Marvel University and
Yeah.
like the Star Wars Land into their theme parks. It's because the theme parks are raking it in.
Oh
That's
yeah.
hard cash. Like,
It is
it
very
is a,
hard cash.
it is a very interesting little fact there that they do make it a shitload of money off the parks.
Yeah, and
And
I
I've
think
seen a lot of people talk about the parks, and it's like, who cares about the parks? But then you really look into it, and it's like, wow, they make a shitload of money off all that stuff. Like,
yeah, and I think that this is just a move to start moving away from that because I think when you're talking about like these bigger streaming services or just these entertainment giants,
mhm,
like the stock price could go bonkers if they put this kind of shit into action. And I think that like they're saying it's to move for like next year and try to like position themselves for the rest of COVID.
yeah,
But based on them creating an entire new division and like they put someone in charge, I really think that this is going to be a priority just going forward, period. Like I think they're just preparing for the digital landscape.
definitely, they definitely are, and I
And
think it is. No, like, go ahead, continue.
well, I was gonna say I think that going like I don't know if it's gonna start slow, but even just immediately after this, you're already starting to see rumors of, like Black Widow's just got to come straight to this. We got to just work Disney Plus to get it. If we can get it to 120 million subscribers by the end of the year, or like by the end of the
Mhm.
quarter or the fiscal year rather, like that's what they're going for, and that's the kind of thing that makes investors go wild.
They do. That is in fact true. I think you're right. I think it is partially about COVID and trying to get content out and get investors excited about, like, hey, we're putting stuff out. But I think it most certainly is about the streaming war and the streaming like platforms.
Yeah,
Uh, Disney Plus is 100%. They are competing with Netflix. They are competing with everybody, and they want to be the best. And they have, in a lot of ways, they have the most iconic content to be putting out, and the most. Let's just say you don't need as much marketing as Netflix. You know what I mean? Like, if you say something's going to happen on Disney Plus, people are probably going to know what it is,
yeah, I agree.
um, without shoving it down everyone's, shoving it in everyone's face.
Yeah, especially with like just opening the vast library of Disney property. Like I feel like if I told somebody who didn't know what streaming services were, right, which is very strange, but like it's a hypothetical. If
Yeah,
I was like, here's Netflix and here's Disney Plus, I feel like nobody could. There's no educated guess you could ever make based on like this is Netflix. Here's the like here's the brand. Here's the logo.
yeah,
Like you just hear the word Disney. I agree. You don't even need to advertise. Like I know exactly what's on there. Like
yeah,
the Disney movies. I mean, even just that. Like even if you don't know that Marvel is owned by Disney, like I feel like Disney's so iconic as a brand
yeah,
that there's just enough content in that to sell you where you're gonna go fuck.
yeah, definitely. So I think pivoting towards like producing more content is exactly what they need. That's exactly what Disney Plus is missing, is more content.
Yeah, they
Um,
need more original content aimed at like the general, like the whole family, if that makes sense. Because a
yeah,
lot of the stuff they've been doing recently was kind of more like outside the Mandalorian, obviously, which is more like not. It's either like adult slash like teenager focused, but
hmm,
like High School Musical, the musical, the high school, or whatever the fuck that was.
right,
Like that was, I thought it had its moments, but like it was very obviously aimed at like 12-year-olds.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I feel
definitely.
like they got to put some more. I feel like they got to put some more like adult content on it, but also
Yeah, something that's more.
that's why they have Hulu though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know, but I guess my point is just yeah, like more Winter Soldier and Falcon, more WandaVision, like more things that
Right.
like yes, they're interesting for all ages, but as a 20-something-year-old man would get me like, yeah, let's do that.
Let's go watch that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is the obvious move for Disney, but um, it's also definitely a very business strategic move.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's
and
very
they're
scary if I was like a theater, if I, because if this does well, because like they're very trying to direct to consumer everything.
yep,
Like, how can we eliminate every single middleman so that I just hand you directly what I want to hand you? And if it
yeah,
works really well, fuck the movie theater. Like,
yeah.
for real.
I know the movie theaters at one time they were in a lot of ways, like for those of you that don't know, like a lot of studios they kind of like little man the theaters. They're like, you're gonna do this when we say, like Disney is
Yeah.
very much like with this mentality, like we're putting out Star Wars this date, you're gonna put it in your biggest theater for this many weeks,
Yeah.
and
I
if you
remember,
don't, then you're not getting our movie, you're not even gonna get it.
yeah, when they put out the last one, episode 9, and I believe they had done it for the other ones. It was very much like that. It had to be in your biggest theater for at least 3 weeks for at least this many shows a day.
Yep.
And then they also normally a movie theater or like production company.
Hmm.
Normally they take like 60% of the ticket sales, I believe, and then like the theater gets the other 40%. But Disney was taking 65, 70, and they were
Yeah.
like, "You're either going to show our movie or you're not."
Yeah, and it's hard for theaters to deny that because it's like you're not going to get Star Wars if you don't do what they're saying.
Yeah.
And we saw theaters kind of try to retaliate. Remember when Universal said after they got success with Trolls, they're like, we're going to start doing more streaming stuff,
Yeah,
and
AMC
then
banned them from
AMC was
theaters.
like, we're banning Universal, no more Fast and Furious, no nothing, anything
Yeah.
Universal, we're not showing it, which is a crazy fucking thing to say. But in a lot of ways, if you understand the business aspect and the politics behind it all, it's like, what else can they really do to say, no, come back, please, please show your movie here? Like, there's not much else you can say.
Yeah, I
Uh,
believe Universal and AMC. I think we covered it on the podcast. It's been so long. I
yeah,
believe they came to a custom deal, and I think that was probably the wrong way to do it because now everyone's going to start strong arming again.
yeah,
But it is
and
really
it's
what you are. Like, you're on the back foot as a theater now. You're fighting against. I mean, I really do think that there'll always be theaters in some concept because I think going and seeing it on the biggest screen with like the crazy sound effects is really just something interesting.
yeah,
But like, you're really competing with that dude who's like, I can just not get off my couch.
yeah, it's
And
true.
it's compelling. It's compelling to not put pants on.
I get it. I mean, the theater is an experience. It's always gonna be unique. Um, but yeah, you're definitely right. There's a big competition going right now, and it is aggressive, to say the least. Like the studios are aggressive with each other, trying to compete with each other streaming wise, and they are extremely aggressive to the theaters because they consider the theaters, pardon my French, but they look at the theaters like they're a bitch. Like you're gonna put our shit out, and this
Yeah,
is how it's gonna work, and you have no say in it. Otherwise, you're just not gonna get our content, and that's not really an option for theaters.
I
So
mean,
it's kind of a shitty position to be in.
yeah. The thing is, I feel like it's going to get even worse, and I think that we should. I'm going to write this down for us because this should be a discussion topic. Like, what will movie theaters look like in 50 years?
Right.
And I think that especially recently, there was a government repeal on a law that prohibited studios from owning the theaters
Yeah.
because there was like a conflict of interest there. Now they can. So like
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's gonna be like how long until Universal's like fine we'll just show it in our own theater chain. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That was a big deal back in the day. That was like the government initially made that rule when movies were becoming so big in like the 20s and 30s. The government basically stepped in because studios were owning theaters and it was becoming a monopoly. And it was about like, listen, you can't own the theaters where you're distributing your films to because you're making too much money, and we can't allow that.
Yeah, I mean it just
But now that
allows
they
you to
repealed
strong
that,
arm
it's like, yeah,
because you can just refuse to show other people's movies.
yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's not a very fair playing ground. But now that that's repealed, like it's gonna get interesting. It's gonna get very
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And we will definitely talk about it probably in the next couple episodes because I feel like that's a really cool topic.
Definitely, I agree.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
while we wait for the end of cinema, uh,
yeah,
perhaps we should move on to our final, I guess, a topic that segues into our discussion topic.
yes. This is very, very good news. We have been picking this apart for the past few weeks. If you've been listening to Cinema Scrutiny the past like 3 episodes, you may consider us a partial Spider-Man podcast because we keep talking about fucking Spider-Man.
Mm,
There's so much news leaking out of the Spider-Man 3 set and the Spider-Man 3 production. It's ridiculous. People are going nuts. Um, Essentially, like we've been saying, John and I have been speculating um, that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to show up in Spider-Man 3, which is a nutty thing to say. It doesn't
mm,
really make. I mean, it could make sense considering all the news has been coming out, but no one really like. It's one of those things where it's like, is this really happening? Is that really going to
yeah,
fucking
I can't
happen?
even
Doesn't.
believe it.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't fathom that. And there was a press release this week. Um, well, it wasn't a press release. Someone asked a Sony exec like, "What's going on with these rumors about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield?" And they said those rumors, those casting rumors, are not confirmed,
Yeah,
which is a big way of saying uh, we didn't sign. They didn't sign their contract yet. That's basically what that fucking means.
yeah, I agree.
Um, and I also have a little scooper, little rumor or behind the scenes news, I guess. Grace Randolph, or my go-to scooper that I follow. But I sent this to John earlier in the week that she heard from her inside sources that Tobey Maguire is basically in, but he's negotiating more screen time out of the suit because he wants to do more acting and like show off his acting rather than being Spider-Man. Which is understandable because Tobey Maguire doesn't get too much like mainstream work, so I'm sure he wants to show off his acting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's big. This is big. Like I would expect. I don't think they're going to show. I don't even think they're going to announce it. I don't think they're going to announce this casting. I think that they
No.
are genuinely going to hold it. Um, and we're either going to get a set leak, or it's going to be potentially a trailer, or it'll just wait until the movie happens. But it's going to be so obvious that they're in it that we're going to know. Like you can't hide this. I think.
Yeah, I think they've been talking, and another thing that they announced this week, because this is rumor obviously, but the actual announcement this week was that they are aiming to have actual footage available, like a trailer, like a first look, in December.
Yeah.
And now that is crazy because like they just started filming now, so that gives them basically like probably 5 or 10 days to shoot what is needed for the trailer,
Hmm.
and then you have to immediately run and edit it like for the 2 months, and then you put it out. I
See,
I think that's where you drop it. I think you announce it in the trailer.
that is crazy to think about.
Mm.
But if you remember when the first Guardians was in the works, James Gunn showed up at Comic Con 2 weeks into shooting with a trailer for the Comic Con crowd,
Really?
which is yeah, and it was like a 30-second little thing that didn't hit online, but it was something to show off to the Comic Con crowd and say, here we are. Like they left London shooting for like 2 days to show up to Comic Con, and they
Mm.
went back. He brought the whole cast. They looked like they were dead on stage because they're so tired. But he had something to show. It was, and literally they were only shooting for 2 weeks, and they had something.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Probably no special effects or anything. It was probably just them walking down a hallway or something. But you know, I guarantee if they have something to show in December, some kind of teaser, and it's the three Spider-Men, all you need to do is line them up. Put them
Yeah.
in a shot, line them up, put the picture out, and it's like, boom, get ready, bitches. Like, oh, God, this is nuts.
Yeah, it's
Like,
gonna be crazy. Like I just want to see like because we know Doctor Strange is in it. It's like I know that it would be easier just to give us a look with nothing, but I want
yeah.
that first trailer to just like end with Doctor Strange opening some portals, and then like Spidey swings out Tom Holland, but then two more Spidey Man swing out. And you're like, holy fuck!
The fuck? Like,
Yeah, or at least not even both. Like just even one would be enough to like make everyone lose their fucking marbles.
all I need is Toby. Give me Toby. That's it.
Hmm.
Respect to Andrew, but give me
I
Toby.
feel like Toby would be
Pizza
harder to put in
time.
there.
Yeah, definitely. He will definitely be harder to wrangle. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you
Harder.
think of that? What do you think of the rumor that Tobey Maguire wants more like screen time out of the suit? Do you think that's like too much to ask for?
Yeah, I think
Or
you
like
should just shut up.
just shut up and take the fucking money.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm trying to even like think of something that Tobey Maguire was in recently, and it's I don't know. I mean, like,
The last thing I remember Toby in was Great Gatsby with
yeah,
DiCaprio.
no, I agree. But it, as cool as it is, right? Like, I hate to say that it's not about him, and he's trying to make it about him.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I just don't know, like, because
that's an actor move right there.
it is
He
an
wants more
actor
acting
move.
time.
But now I'm starting to think, is it a does this indicate that the script has him in it for longer? Because in my mind, it was going to be more of like a not necessarily a cameo, but like
But like an action scene, they show up,
yeah, kind of like
they do
less
their thing.
than 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like 15, 20
But
minutes, and
like
they're there, and then they're
now,
gone.
if like if he's looking for more like out of mask screen time, like we could be talking the entire fucking movie.
Yeah, like half the movie, like
Yeah.
crazy shit. As cool as this all sounds, it sounds like so much fucking convoluted, like plot juggling. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
it's like so much shit is gonna happen in this. Like there's rumors Kirsten Dunst is gonna come back as Mary Jane. Uh, Dane DeHaan as Green Goblin is gonna be there.
Yeah.
Like how? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think Doctor Strange just got ripped some fabric in this like the time space continuum, and you just don't give a fuck. You just do it.
I like
I mean, it made so much sense in Into the Spider-Verse, and that was only like an
yeah.
hour and a half.
I mean, if he opened like if Doctor Strange opens a portal and it's like the end fight scene from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and all three of them just swing out. Like, that's gonna be ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
but that's low key what's gonna happen because doesn't Electro die at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2? I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
I
I
don't
think
know.
he exploded like on a
Oh,
transformer or something.
yeah, that sounds like something he might have done.
So it's like just if all three of them are coming back, then that's the ideal place to rip them from. But I
Yeah,
don't know. I can't fathom what the fuck they're gonna do. Doctor Strange is just gonna be opening portals.
they've gone beyond the scope of my brain capacity.
Yeah, like I don't know. But this is great news. This is great stuff.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
want it. People are gonna go nuts. Uh, but it. So our discussion topic
Yeah,
could, I mean, we can't say anything, but this like event of all three Spider-Man being back, like, could potentially break the fabric of is this going to be the best Spider-Man film that ever came out?
yeah,
And that kind of segues into our discussion topic of who's the best Spider-Man and the best Spider-Man film
yeah,
subsequently. So obviously, like, the Spider-Man 3 that's coming out could end up being the craziest best Spider-Man film, but we want to talk about what is currently the best Spider-Man film and best Spider-Man actor.
uh-huh.
Um, so I'm gonna throw it to you, John, because I feel like I've been leading this podcast right now, and I want to hear you crack this egg open here
Sure.
about your. Oh my god,
What?
you sound ready. You sound fucking ready. I don't
I
know.
don't know, man. I mean, Spider-Man,
I
part
know.
man,
I know
part
my answer.
spider.
So
I'm trying to. I genuinely do agree with you that if this happens, like if the thing happens, that like Spider-Man 3 would probably become the greatest Spider-Man film.
yeah,
But who is the best Spider-Man?
some people consider Into the Spider-Verse the best Spider-Man
Which
film.
is, yeah, it's also on the table. I really do like Chris Pine as actual Spider-Man, as Peter A. Parker.
He was a good Spider-Man.
And
I agree.
then fucking I forget the dude's name, but then the actor for for us, Peter B. Parker, is also very good. That was Nick Cage's noir Spider-Man. John Mulaney, Pig Spider-Man,
Yep.
or Spider Pig. I apologize to our
Pretty
viewer.
big Spider-Man lineup there Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think, oh god. So the best movie, I think it might have to be Into the Spider-Verse.
Really?
Yeah. I think it does the most like interesting and wild stuff. Like it gets all the villains. It's not holding punches. You know, it's going through all these universes. The style, like the art style, is so unique and interesting.
Yeah.
I like that Fisk is in it. I like that they have like alternate the gender swap for Doc Ock because of the alternate universe stuff.
Yeah.
Oh God, I like Spider Gwen. I also think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the best self-contained one because I think
Hmm.
that the Tobey Maguire ones are really good, but they're limited by not necessarily being like the first, but there's like very much still the campiness of trying to figure out what a superhero movie is, right?
Sure.
And I think that they get very close at the end, but it's like still missing a little something. Like Spider-Man 2, they're like, yeah, like this is great,
Hmm.
but then like Spider-Man 3 and like Joey Diaz shows up and fucking Tobey Maguire's dancing and shit. Like that's when it gets weird, right?
Sure.
The Andrew Garfield ones, I think, just needed more time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Sure.
maybe like one more and they would have found their footing.
I
But
think they were packing too much. They were just
yeah,
trying to
they
pack too
tried to
much in.
jump the gun on the second one because they were
Too much
running out of
setup.
shit.
Too much setup.
Yeah, and then Gwen Stacy like was cool, but then she didn't get to become the Spider Gwen thing, so it's like not
Hmm.
interesting. And then I think the Tom Holland ones like they're really good, right? But I think that out like if you take away the MCU elements, right, and it's just about Spider Man,
Hmm.
then it's not as good, right? Because I like one of the coolest parts about the first film is Iron Man,
Yeah.
and then the second film I think helps stand on its own, but it is also very much about like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I don't know, like just the way that Spider Man feels for me in that universe. I just because Into the Spider Verse, like it's just trying to be its one thing, one and done. This is the thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like it the most.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, Into the Spider Verse is more Spider Man than any of them, in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah,
it really commits to the Spider lore and like all the different universes and existing like outcomes of what Spider Man is and could be.
yeah.
And it's crazy, and I love that they committed to it, and I love that they did it, and it's a fantastic movie. Um, but it is not my pick.
All right. I just before you actually keep going, I just want to preface because like I agree. Like I think that one of the reasons I think it's so like great is because it's so ambitious with the narrative.
Yeah.
But I think it is really like these three-man ran so that Miles Morales could swing. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
feel like the like since the first Tobey Maguire film, like just superhero movies as a whole have become so mainstream and so
Become
vibrant.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that the things that they do in Into the Spider Verse are insane, right? But like
Yeah.
we've earned
You could have
that.
never done that. You could have never
Yeah,
done that with Toby.
we've earned it in cinema. I guess is what I'm my point. But sorry,
Right.
continue on picking your pick.
My pick is a little bit, I don't want to say biased, but I think it is I think it is genuinely the most um hit home Peter Parker story, um Spider-Man, like classical Spider-Man story.
Hmm.
And not just Spider-Man Peter Parker, but like the most growth within a story, I think. Um and I I think a lot of people share this like thought or share this like opinion, I guess, but I personally, my favorite is Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire.
Hmm.
I think that um, from start to finish, it is everything that Peter Parker is. It is struggle. It is um, gripping with reality that he can't juggle his two lives,
Hmm.
and he's losing everything around him, and he can't control it. And it leads to him like losing his powers, and he doesn't know how to deal with that. And he's starting to love the life of not having his powers, and then he realizes he has to be Spider-Man because that's what it needs to be. And The villain with Doc Ock. I don't think there's a better like. I don't think there's a better live action Spider-Man villain. Maybe like Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio could add up to that,
I feel like
but
Vulture's pretty cool.
Vulture was cool. But I think that Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, like he means like there's so much more depth. I think to him. Like he is like a mentor to Peter Parker, and like
Yeah, well, that's just Doc. Yeah, no, I agree. It is for this film. Doc Ock is like very much of that. You know what I mean?
he is a mentor, and like Peter looks up to him, and like and they I think they set it up so well in the beginning of like how Peter meets him, and like he wants to write this research paper about him, and like
Yeah,
in a lot of ways like you see it through Peter that like it is he's everything that Peter wants to be. Like he's a successful scientist, he has a wife, he's happy, like Doc Ock is telling him about like how to like catch the girl and like get your wife and all that, and like there's just great depth to it. I feel like, and you understand like obviously like how he like descends into madness and stuff like Doc Ock, and
yeah,
but you also understand like where he's at when he's down there. Like how he's lost everything, and like this is all I have left is to do this thing. And
mm-hmm.
I think the action scenes hold up, um, and it just I think all around is just fucking great. Like it's just really good. Like I don't think there's a more like well-rounded like Spider-Man movie out of all of them. And I think Into the Spider-Verse comes closest to it. And I think in a few years into this for me, Into the Spider-Verse might be the best one. I think
Sure.
it's just been not enough time yet. Um, but I totally see why someone could say like Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie because it really does hit all the marks. It hits everything. Um, it it's everything that you could have wanted to see with any Spider-Man movie, and it puts it all into one. Like they're all there, and it's so great to see. But I
Mm-hmm.
think just from like a I don't want to say live action perspective, but like just like a singular story and a singular telling of like the character, I think Spider-Man 2 has it all. It's all right there.
Yeah,
And yes, Joey Diaz is there, but he's a great cameo. He's like, carry him out or
he's
whatever
a
he says.
hero.
Like he's a hero. Yeah, like it's fucking sick. Like the train fight is fucking awesome. The train fight is like one of the best Spider-Man fights ever. Like
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
great stuff. I don't know. I don't even know how to. I don't know.
How to
I can't.
cap
I
it.
can't think of a. I can't think of a better like overall like overarching story for Peter Parker in any of the other movies.
Sure. So
Because like in Amazing Spider-Man, he's like too focused on his parents and like trying to figure out where they're at, but like that's not even relevant to like the current story in front of him. Like there's so many holes in that series to
mhm.
me. And then like Tom Holland is great at what he does, but like it's like a different uh story. Like he's just in a different position in life. He's a high
Yeah,
schooler. And Tobey was like in college and like getting out of college. So anyway,
I no, he was in high school.
Tobey wasn't the first movie, but like by the second movie, he's like in college, and then the third, he's out of college. So he's just growing up faster. Like we're
Mm.
just seeing him grow up way faster, and like it's
That's
not as contained, I guess. I don't know.
so. Does that mean that Tobey Maguire is also your favorite Spider-Man?
In a way, yeah. I mean that's where my bias kind of comes from because like I grew up with it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like they, like you said, like we've earned this through cinema, like Into the Spider-Verse, and we've earned like the craziness that comes with like the following Spider-Mans and like the great stuff. But I don't know. I just think Toby was great in what he was. I mean, like obviously there's the goofy shit where he's dancing in Spider-Man 3 and all that, and like he gets emo. But like I said, like in Spider-Man 2, he's perfect. He's everything he needs to be. Like
Yeah,
he captures the character so well, and I'm sure that reflects with the writers and Sam Raimi's direction and all that. But I just think it hits every mark. I don't know.
sure. Yeah, no, I get you.
I, I think Tom Holland is a close second though. I
Yeah, I
think he's
think
better.
for me, Tom Holland's
Andrew.
probably number one.
You think so? You think he's the best one?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he's definitely. I think just looking at the three of them alone, I think he's probably the best actor between the three of them. Like I really think that Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire is not that great of an actor.
No, I mean,
Like
I don't think. Yeah, I
it
mean, I think
works
that
for
reflects in a lot
Spider-Man.
of his roles. Like,
Yeah.
it works for Spider-Man, like you said. I think Andrew Garfield's a fantastic actor.
He is a great actor. He's in some other really good stuff. I wish
I think his acting in Spider-Man isn't that good though. That's the thing.
I don't even know if it's his acting or if it's just straight up the writing. Like I think the direction and the writing that they took for it was just like not the right way to go with the whole series.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I just feel like they didn't really like they just knew that they wanted to make more Spider-Man, but they didn't really know what to do with it.
right.
And like it all like eventually it just kind of fell apart in that situation. So
Yeah,
that's why for me like Tom Holland just captures the role perfectly. He sets it up, he gets it done, and like there's just no complaints. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he's just Spider-Man right now. You know what I mean?
yeah. I don't have any complaints about Tom Holland either. I think he's the perfect like young Spider-Man. I think part of the reason like Toby as Spider-Man grew up so fast was because he was just an older actor. You know,
Yeah.
like you couldn't hide the fact that he was in high school. Even when he was in high school, it didn't like you.
Didn't
It
look
was
like it
hard to
was high
see.
school. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same problem Andrew Garfield had. It's like he first of all he looks too old to be in high school, and second of all like he wasn't Peter Parker in a lot of ways. Like Andrew Garfield looked like cool. Like he was like a cool fucking kid. Like he was skateboarding. Like he was doing all this cool shit after school. Like Peter Parker is like this little nerdy kid, and like nobody really likes him. Like Andrew Garfield never really got bullied, and he took out like his frustrations on other bullies. Like Peter Parker never did that,
Hmm.
and like again, I think that reflects in the writing. That's not Andrew Garfield's fault, but
Yeah.
like that's just like a lot of that series and what they.
Yeah. What they ultimately shot for.
He is great.
Yeah.
I just have a bias of when I grew up seeing Toby and
No, that's fair. I
you
mean,
know
I think that Tobey Maguire is still a really great Spider-Man, and I'm really the one thing I would love to see is in the Spider-Man 3. I want to see him come in, and I want to see him give the "with great power comes great responsibility" speech
yes,
to Tom Holland
yes,
because they kind of allude to it, like in Homecoming or maybe even in Civil War. Like he says something that is like similar but not the same. He's like,
right.
when you
He
have these
he like
powers,
alludes
but you
to it.
don't do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he
But he
never actually.
never, yeah. And he never mentions Uncle Ben. And like, I feel like, to like, even if he starts to say it and then like Tom Holland and him both say it at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, I know what it is.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like that would be a really great moment. Cause I think that,
it'd be an awesome moment.
yeah, like, especially Tobey Maguire's always looked much older. And I feel like he looks like much more of a mentor. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Whereas like Andrew Garfield almost feels like his own Spider-Man. Like he's just like a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think you're totally right, and I think if if and when Toby shows up in 3, I think he'll be in a lot of ways like the Chris Pine Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse. Like he's older,
Yeah.
he has all the experience. Like maybe he's not like washed up or like he's tired of being Spider-Man, but he has that like mentor, uh, you know, gravitas about him. I guess if you want to call it that. Like
Yeah. No, I agree.
he will definitely be like a leader type of Spider-Man, and I agree. Like if he gives that speech of like with great power comes great responsibility, like woo, that's big. That'd be sick because they never did it with Tom Holland. Now that I think about it, it's a good point. Like
Yeah.
having Toby tell him, "Oh my god, that'd be nuts."
Yeah, it would be really good. All right. So unfortunately, we are running over the hour. We're at like an hour 8 right now, I think.
Yeah,
So I think we got pretty much what we wanted to say across for this discussion. So I think we should try to wrap it up.
yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for tuning in this week, episode 14. I think we covered a lot of great shit. We talked about a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Let us help us grow. We love you guys. We love when you guys tune in and watch. It really does mean a lot because uh, we do this for fun, but it's also nice to see the success of the podcast. For next week's discussion topic, we are going to be reviewing and covering the trial of the Chicago Seven, which is a new movie on Netflix, and it's been getting really good reviews, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been using that strategy we were talking about earlier of the stacked cast.
Stacked cast. So I think, well, I know we're going to be watching it this week. I encourage you guys to watch it as well, so you can come back next week and listen to our discussion about it and our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we'll be covering the news as we always do. But yeah, that's been episode 14, I guess. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a great week, guys.